Welcome to Lunchtime Live, everybody. I'm Leslie.
I'm Ed.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Good afternoon. It's noon now.
Yes.
Oh, we can't see our background. Hold, please. Wait for it. Wait for it. There we go.
Nice.
Texture.
Texture.
So welcome back, everybody. Happy Monday. Love to see you in the chats. Is it? Tanya says, "Is it Monday again?" Yes, we're with you on that
Just
one,
keeps
Tanya.
circling back, doesn't it?
Yeah, I had a teacher who would tell me, she's like, Sunday comes every 7 days. So, that keeps things exciting for sure. So we wanted to check in with you guys, see how your weekly goals went. We did a brief check-in between the two of us between recording the podcast and now. Did you do your goal?
It was more like a mutual forgiveness section.
I think it was.
Session, I think, right?
Yes. So we would like to express to you that if you have not achieved your 50-50 goal,
Join the team.
us either. Yep. Mine was to record a solo video, which I have thought about.
Good.
I have started along the process of. I think I'm appreciating the scale of this goal. So I have sort of started the beginning. I have the opening section in my head.
Beautiful.
So I made progress.
That's a step. See,
progress, not perfection.
this is an exercise in self-compassion, right?
Hey, right? Yes. And yours?
I did bring my book out of its hiding place.
Good.
The Overstory.
The Overstory.
Yes, and so it is now sitting in a prominent location, ready to be read.
Excellent.
That was sort of a preparation phase.
Yeah. I love it. So we'd love to hear from you guys that are here with us now, or if you're catching this in the replay, write in the comments about how your weekly goal went. We'll do another little session at the end to see kind of what we're feeling like for the week ahead.
Yeah.
I kind of liking this idea of keeping going with this self-compassion topic.
I do too. I think it's getting a lot of good feedback.
Personally, it feels needed right now. So I'm going to make the executive decision that we're going to keep going about self-compassion.
I'm right with you.
A little bit of housekeeping for you guys today. So I think there's it can be very confusing about what Round Hill Media is, especially if you are a member of Round Hill Community Church. That can feel confusing. So Round Hill Media is the digital ministry of Round Hill Community Church, right? So we are, yes, for our congregation members, but we're also for the wider world.
The wider world.
Which is a tie-in into the podcast that will come out tomorrow. So we have roundhillmedia.org has just launched this morning, actually. So if you want to go there, check it out, roundhillmedia.org. And I think that helps really visualize all the offerings.
Yes,
right?
options within roundhillmedia.org.
Correct, because we have the Round Hill Radio podcast, which is in both audio and visual forms. And this is not the podcast. We had some people understandably think, I caught your podcast. And it's like, well, the good news is you actually caught another thing and you can still watch the podcast. So there's lots of good.
Got something to look forward to.
Lots of good stuff. So this is the Lunchtime Live weekly Monday show all about community.
Yeah.
So roundhillmedia.org if you want to see all the good stuff that gets updated with all the most recent videos and most recent audio, because we have 2 podcasts actually now.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
It's a lot. It's good stuff. We have 4 videos and 2 podcasts.
Amazing.
I try not to think of it too much. I get overwhelmed really quickly.
Well, I love the fact that it has grown steadily, but not overwhelmingly, right? We haven't overwhelmed ourselves. And I think this is what we're trying to learn how to do right now.
Right.
Not to overwhelm ourselves or others, but to just keep things steadily moving along.
Yeah. And also in focusing on things that feel important. I keep going back to this idea because I think you said this to me years ago, and it stuck with me so much, of the idea of important versus urgent.
Yeah. Yeah.
When there's so many things being like, you have to do this now, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. And then all the things that are actually important on your list for the day, for example, keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed.
Yeah.
And this idea of like intentionally elevating the things on your list and goals that are important to you, that has stuck with me for a long time.
Well, that's good.
So thanks for that.
Well, you're welcome. Well, kind of along those lines, it makes me think of, I've been thinking a lot about the word passion.
Passion.
It's in the vocabulary a lot, right?
Yeah.
People say, follow your passion.
Right.
Do you have any passion for this? And I think I've sort of come to this place right now where I understand that there's quite a bit that I feel like I need to do in life around which I might not have much passion. But I believe that in the doing of those things, there will be satisfaction at the end of the journey.
Sure.
Right. And maybe the passion doesn't come through the doing so much, but in the satisfaction at the end. On the other hand, there are some things for which we like have a lot of energy and we want to do those things. So we've got a bit of a mix in our lives.
Sure.
Right. And it's good to figure out which is which and not to overwhelm ourselves with either, but to do some things. I had someone talk to me about writing once. And I said, as much as I love to write, once I'm doing it, I hate the thought of doing it. Somebody's going to have to chain me to the desk.
You have to sit and write.
I just do not want to get started. However, if I can just turn the wheel, right, get over that hill, then it kind of unfolds. So I'm trying to figure out, what are those things in life right now that I have to do that are kind of like that, but understand that over time they'll feel better.
I like that. So it's actually really interesting you bring up this idea of passion because our Just Create More founder, Heather Ramirez, talks a lot about the passion economy.
Oh.
So this idea of people following their passion, she now has reframed that as the enthusiasm economy because those are very, actually quite different in terms of approach and expertise level. And so this idea of people creating careers or creating content from a place of passion, I think is very exciting. And it also just ties into what we're doing here and what we've always done here of how kind of the beginning seeds of Roundhill Media, which began to me, back in November of 2017 with Roundhill Radio, the podcast,
right?
Which I genuinely don't even remember what led us to do that. And we were like, that seems like a great idea. Let's do that thing. And it has kind of snowballed to a really intense degree.
It would be fun if we could go back and find the conversation and hear it again, that got us underway. But I'm with you. I can't exactly remember.
I don't remember
how it all got started.
I think we might have blocked it out.
I think
I'm a little concerned about that.
What were we thinking?
What were we thinking? And it's funny too, because we did I went back to our first episode recently. I called it the introduction cast. And we talked about podcasting and it's 9 minutes long. It's really short.
Oh, that's great.
And it is stunningly bad.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
But I think that's good because you have to start somewhere.
Yes.
Right? And you have to get going and, wind your way up. You got to start somewhere.
It's so much fun to talk with people who have gone on to do things or develop projects or even develop a kind of work that now, fills their lives, and to ask them about the first thing they made, whether it was the first ice cream cone or the first skateboard or whatever it was, and to think, oh, that was so awful.
Yeah.
Right. But then on it goes.
Well, I think you and I talk a lot about this beginner's mind.
Yeah.
Or this beginner enthusiasm, this beginner perspective, the curiosity of a beginner mindset. I will say this ties in very well with me today because I have some beginner piano students.
Oh, wow.
I'm teaching this afternoon, which is so fun because
Just the first step of the journey.
Just the first step of the journey. My friend Robert made this suggestion years ago, which I've done every first lesson, which is you open up the piano and they get to look inside at the Strings and all the things that happen and that you're controlling when you hit the key.
Right.
It's a the first lessons are fun. I really like them.
Are these people who have not played the piano at all?
Well, they're first graders.
They're
First and second graders. These are little munchkins.
Oh, that's amazing.
Who are just like, it's too cute, is really what it is.
So for them, looking inside this giant thing.
And I get to control that and make that sound. And then we just kind of play a little bit just to feel it out. It's fun because it's just a lot of play in the first lesson.
Wow. Isn't it great to be able to have something like that in the midst of what we're still experiencing right now?
Yeah.
To start something fresh, right? For the very first time. I heard a wonderful story just this past weekend about a woman who wanted to learn how to make baskets in the shaker tradition. So the shakers were very prominent in this part of the world, especially northern New England, New York State. And it was an amazing religious community that ultimately died out. But they were so inventive. And so she wanted to learn this practice, and she made one basket. It was her first basket.
Yeah.
And she brought it up. I heard this story this past weekend, to Canterbury Shaker Village, which is a beautiful spot just outside of Concord, New Hampshire. And she showed it to one person there who was kind of an expert in basket making and thought, he's going to just really say.
That was a brave thing to do.
It was very brave. And he looked at her and said, this is really remarkable that you really seem to have a calling for this. And he said, why don't you come back here and teach a basket making workshop? She's been now developing this skill for the last 31 years.
Oh my goodness.
All from that initial encounter, but she started that first basket and was attentive to it and felt drawn to it. And it just blossomed into this craft that has brought pleasure.
I love that.
To so many people over the years.
That's so great.
Right? I mean, and actually she did it as a homeschool project because she was homeschooling her 3 children and wanted to teach them how to make shaker baskets. That's how it started.
I love that.
Isn't that wonderful?
That's great.
Love that story.
I love that story too. I'm excited because I'm taking my first silversmithing class on Saturday.
I'm excited for you.
I'm
so glad you're doing that.
I'm stoked. It's going to be great. It's like all day long.
Isn't that great?
So I'm like, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just going to show up
And doesn't that sort of correspond to autumn? There's a freshness. People often speak about feeling very energized by autumn. And there is something. It's like a kind of a spring in our step at this time of the year.
Yeah. Ever since living up here, autumn in New England is my favorite. I went apple picking yesterday.
Oh.
It was just quintessential.
Yeah.
Autumn in New England. It's magical. I'm excited for the leaves to change.
Yeah.
Like the Merritt Parkway right when everything's orange and red. Stunning.
Amazing. Yeah, and the splashes of color here and there, it started.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of urging us on. Like the color around us is saying, go ahead, be more vibrant, be a little more colorful.
I've already started decorating the house. I had a thought like 2 weeks ago and I was like, how soon is too soon to decorate for Christmas?
These days, there probably is no such thing as too soon.
I mean, so here's the thing that cracks me up. I went to North Haven the other day, and because on the way I went to Joann Fabrics because there's a really big one in Milford, and it cracked me up because they put out the holiday stuff like each holiday, right? They'll put it out of the season and then they discount it when it's over. So this was the 24th of September, and Halloween stuff was 70% off. Because they, I guess, had it out for a month already, and they were, I guess, moving on to the next thing. And so everything was on, like they're...
Moving on to Easter.
Apparently, yes. It cracked me up. I was like, well, that works. Oh, the great part is, so we have Christmas Clatter here. Oh. Hi. It was a Christmas channel.
Are we getting some encouragement there?
Yeah, he's like, it's never too soon.
There we go.
Thank you. I appreciate your encouragement. I might take you up on that. Because, he's... Oh, I have a tree up here around. I love that. Well, you can make it an Easter tree.
Right.
A Valentine's Day tree.
I think these days, people will often complain that things come out in the stores too early. I probably have said that myself. But There's the creative juices are kind of always flowing.
Sure.
And there's another way to look at that, which is that, when you and I plan worship, we're planning months in advance. Every once in a while, right? We will talk about Easter, or we'll talk about the blessing of the animals in 2022 or whatever, right?
For sure.
So to have things out there is also an enticing way to get the creative juices going.
Yeah.
Right. And so hopefully we're still in the moment. We haven't launched ourselves. We're not actually doing Halloween today.
Right.
Are we?
I don't think so.
But it's out there, and there can be a nice conversation going between what needs to happen today and what is going to happen, 30 some days from now.
Well, and I like that there's window of planning ahead where you're free to be creative without the time pressure.
Yep.
And
don't you think that looking out like that also relaxes us a little bit? Because now we think, okay, there's a lot going on today, and frankly, I can't really deal with all of this. I need to do what I can do. But you know what? It's kind of fun to be thinking a little bit down the road.
You literally just sounded like the voice in my head. I can't deal with today. Today is too much. I was like, are you hearing?
Let's think about Halloween 2022.
Is it coming out of my head? Oh, my
I think it's reverberating. There's an energy that you are exuding right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm not very good at poker. We'll put it that way.
We're reading you.
Yes, that is what's happening today. But planning ahead is a fun thing. Church musicians, we start Christmas music before Thanksgiving, obviously, because, Advent 1 is the last Sunday in November.
Right.
So it's like, we gotta
There's something about, I think we're learning from brain science that there's something the mind likes about just knowing there's a placeholder out there, then just forget about it, let it go. And the mind will keep working on it anyway.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a fun thing to think about, that our mind in that sense is a really good friend to us, speaking of self-compassion.
I like it.
It wants to help us with that project that's down the road.
Yeah.
So when we create some space for it, it'll kind of keep noodling away on it while we, tend to the things that have to be addressed.
I call that percolating.
Percolating.
Beautiful
word.
It just makes me think of coffee.
Yeah, right?
But I use that a lot of times in choir, because I'll like start a piece.
Oh, okay.
And it's not, maybe it's quite early, or I just want them to kind of get a feel of it. And so then we work on it a little bit, and then we let it percolate for the week.
Like
and then they come back, and lo and behold, it's better than it was.
Yeah.
Even though it was just, it's just you kind of plant the seeds and let the week, let it grow.
Yes.
Percolate.
Ruminate.
I do that to my mom. My mother is a very intelligent person, and I'll have some weird problem or thing I need to have a very creative solution. So I just sort of drop it. I'm like, so here's the thing I need solved.
Just saying.
2 weeks later, she'll come back with well, here's 4 different things you could do.
Oh, wow. Can you give me your mother's number? Because
she's very useful.
I've got a few of those things to share with her.
It's good. It's good stuff. It is good stuff. When we're talking about a New Year theme, we're kind of planning on and percolating on.
Yeah.
Right. So it's such an interesting story behind that. Would you be willing to tell that story real quick?
Yeah. So in the interest of kind of looking ahead a little bit, right? We were talking about what theme might occupy us for worship during the months of January, February, March. And we started thinking about the prophets and how important those great prophetic voices are that call us to peace and justice. And one prophet that rose to the surface in our thinking was Elijah, right? Who's such an amazing Hebrew Bible character. And I'd been thinking about him because a few years ago, I was reading a lot of books about the civil rights movement. And I noticed that Elijah's name kept coming up over and again, that people in the civil rights movement in the 1960s, for some reason, saw in him this very inspiring character. Partly because of the challenges he faced in his personal life, and because he was also up against a formidable opponent as he was trying to bring greater justice to the world. So lo and behold, they really identified with him. And so I thought might be really interesting. We had this discussion. So what if we could explore this great prophetic character? And there's also a very interesting ecological message that runs through the stories about him, because much of his work was done at a time of massive drought, where there were not sustainable resources for people. So he had to live through that as well. And he was a kind of a friend of crows. That's always something I found rather interesting, right? Yeah. So, it's going to be fantastic.
I'm excited. That sounds fun. Yeah. And like I said, we're kind of, we're in that phase where it's like, it's not so close that it's stressful. And we can kind of dream and scheme and have fun with that for sure.
Yeah. And so much great music about him as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I think that'll be fun. But again, a thing that's out there, but sometimes feels close.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's have I have no idea if the graphic's going to work, but we're going to try it because I'm an optimistic person. We're taxing our computer to its limit apparently this week. Goals for the week, friends.
Goals for the week.
Goals for the week. Do you have any goals for the week, Ed?
I'm going to go back to my goal for last week.
I like it. That's
Right?
okay. Yeah.
So I've started this book called The Overstory. It's a gift from my daughter, Katrina, and it's just a fascinating story. And it's a really kind of a heavy read. And I've just decided the only way I'm going to get through that book is in small chunks. So this week I brought it out, as I said, set it out in a prominent place. Now this week my goal is actually just to read a few pages at a time and to think about savoring it.
That.
I'm not going to try to think 20 pages today. No, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that.
Tiny stuff. That's funny because it ties into, I was having a conversation yesterday about meditation, self-care, self-compassion. And my friend was saying, I want to meditate every day.
Yeah.
Which is a great goal. But it brought me back to our recording last week and this idea of like, setting yourself up in a place to succeed.
Yep.
And I said, well, that's a great goal, for down the road. But what if your goal is to meditate twice a week?
That's right.
And then you can...
Starter goal.
Dip your toe in. I think that it's very tempting at least for my personality type, if I'm going to do something, to go 110%.
Right.
And it's really hard for me to just dip and just start slow.
Yep. I love the fact that you used the word dip.
Dip.
Right. One toe.
One toe. Just test the waters.
So, one way to think about this and to play with this idea of goals a little bit, because I think people can get so frustrated, become so frustrated with goals. They're like, just forget it. I just am never going to accomplish that. Right. I'm never going to meditate. I tried to do it for a week. It didn't work.
Right.
I've been sort of playing with this idea in the last year, which is how tiny can you make the goal?
I love that.
Tiny.
Yeah.
And really super small. And in fact, so small that it almost seems laughable.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And then what can happen, I have discovered this, that then just makes you want to do a little bit more. But to really start that way and stay that way for a while, and then incrementally. And I was thinking about this in terms of our podcast. We're up to episode 80.
90.
90.
90.
Yikes. Talk about incremental growth, right?
I know.
One at a time. We didn't start off by saying, let's do 72 podcasts this week.
Right.
Let's try one.
Well, then we didn't even say how often we were going to do it.
True.
We didn't
True.
go weekly.
We didn't link ourselves to that.
Yeah, we only started weekly really consistently this year.
Amazing.
And we were every 2 weeks, kinda, for a long time. Until we kind of got our groove and found the rhythm.
Yep.
And felt the confidence and lots of other things.
Slow and steady really does win the race.
Well, and it makes me think too so much about, I feel like I've literally forgotten what conversation we've had here and what we've had in our podcast an hour ago. So just bear with me on this one. But we talk about a beginner's mind and a beginner approach. And it makes me think of, my kiddos I'm going to go teach this afternoon, that what's my goal for them? right? My goal for them isn't for them to play this Rachmaninoff, Chopin, huge thing. My goal for today is like, can you find middle C?
Oh, great.
And if you can find middle C, then we've had our great lesson today.
We've started.
So why would I treat them with any more compassion, how's that for Italian, than I would treat myself?
Beautiful.
Right?
Okay.
Like, why do I have to have these Mount Everest goals?
Right.
And they can have lovely foothill goals, achievable goals that get you to your Mount Everest. It's a silly metaphor, but
Yeah, but point made.
It's like, well, that seems reasonable
It does.
and compassionate and how you do things.
And as the language goes these days, it's scalable, right? You can build on that very slowly again and really kind of allow it to take time. Years ago, I attended this amazing lecture with Stephen Mitchell, who was a translator, and he wanted to translate this ancient Chinese book of wisdom, the Tao Te Ching. Lao Tzu is the author. It's a beautiful, beautiful text, but he thought it needed a freshening up of the translation. He did know the languages, right? He said he took the first 7 years just to study with people who knew the language well, just to slowly build his familiarity with the language.
Sure.
And it was another several years before he then actually wound up translating it.
Wow.
And I remember sitting there thinking, 7 years, that felt like an eternity to me then.
Right.
But what an amazing perspective.
For sure.
Refusing to be rushed. That's I think part of the
Taking
key to
it
this.
step by step, right? Like you have to start somewhere. Really fabulous question from Tanya. When does a goal officially become a habit? She says she's wondering if you just keep dipping your toe into many various puzzles. I'm guilty of that. Do you dilute the possibility of it becoming a lasting good habit? Such a good question, Tanya. Thank you so much.
That is really wonderful. Yeah, when does something we start feel like it's become, a habit?
Is it consistency?
It feels to me like that's a big part of it. I keep coming back these days to the word steadiness, so that if something feels habitual, it's steady to the point that it's almost become woven into our lives in ways that don't necessarily always require conscious effort. I remember hearing about the great creative person, dancer Twila Tharp, when she was, there was a story told about her in terms of exercising. She said that her goal for exercising became a habit when she realized that she had put her exercise clothes on the chair waiting for the morning and hadn't really even thought about it.
So it's like the effort almost involved in getting to do it. Of like, this is my goal for the day.
Yep.
Versus like, this is a thing I do.
This is a thing I do. And
Right.
whether or not I feel like doing it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
That's the other part of it.
Yeah.
Because I know that when I finish doing it, I'll feel great. But it's just that automatic thing of putting it out. And I have rarely, but a few times in life, experienced this thing where, oh yeah, I need to get up and get that ready for myself, and then I'll do it at such and such a time. That's when the goal, you can never say it's ever been accomplished, but where it has started to weave into something that's habitual. I have heard that it can take anywhere from 6 months to a year for a goal to start to feel like a habit. But
Yeah.
that would be a fun thing to explore.
That's so interesting. Yeah, it's that idea. Because I find for me sometimes I get myself worked up with this. Like I think about this thing I'm supposed to do in the afternoon. That's like my goal.
Yes.
Exercise is a very obvious example of like I'm going to go do the thing. I'm going to go do the thing. And I spend more time thinking about it than I think it would have taken to do it.
Right.
Versus it just like not actively worrying about it.
Right.
Right. And just like, well, that's a thing I'm going to, which I find helpful to do it in the morning for me, because then I don't spend my day.
Then it's done.
Right. And you
Yes.
build it up into something that's like it's not ever anything. It's just the starting of it that's the hardest part.
It is. And if I can give myself any opportunity to talk myself out of it, I will do that.
Oh, I'm very good at that. Yeah. I'm an expert at
Just
talking
listen
myself
to
out of
myself and think, wow, that's fascinating how I just talked myself out of that goal. Good job, Ed.
Good job. I know, make it more difficult on yourself.
Right. Because otherwise I might have been healthier.
Right.
You know, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Which is why I think it's fun that our goals are kind of our self compassion based.
Yeah.
So my goal for the week is going to
Yes.
be to take, one lesson at a time. Because this is my first week teaching. So I'm a little like, about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just try to be relaxed and easy and just take each kiddo one at a time and just really just kind of, I guess the goal is to be present,
Yes.
and to kind of like not overthink all the things.
Right. And I think also because you use that word relaxed, it's to be present in a relaxed way.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm hoping to find ease this week.
Yeah,
I think is actually my real goal. I'm hoping to find ease.
So I just happened to see this little article on the internet by a pilot
Yeah.
who likes to fly small planes. No, I mean,
Thank you.
yeah, just the thought of it. So having said that, she said that when she flies, her name is Cameron Trimble, and she said the key in flying in rough weather is to get even more, is to get looser, get more relaxed, really, which of course, I would be like
Super tense.
death grip on, on everything, because
Yes.
she said when you're in that environment, you want to be relaxed. If you have to make decisions, you want to be able to relax them from a mind, a state of mind that's not in super control mode, because that's mostly fear-based in a way.
Sure.
So I think when you're teaching that, it's that sense of the relaxed presence that then creates the space for those children coming in.
Right.
They feel that you're relaxed.
Yeah.
You're exuding a sense of fun, and that's a really good feeling for them. They can pick up on that,
For sure.
right?
Yeah.
Instantly.
Oh, yeah. They're like horses and dogs. Yeah. They sense your fear.
They really do, don't they? Bless their hearts.
That's great. Sense your fear. I have many stickers. I have many markers. So fingers crossed.
Can't go wrong.
I know.
Just trust the materials.
I hope so. I made them a game board. It should be fun.
Oh, come on.
I'm excited about it.
Fun all the way through.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us for
Indeed.
today's Lunchtime Live. We'll be back here next Monday at noon Eastern, and we hope you guys have a easeful week ahead.
Blessed
Thanks, Ed.
week.
Thanks, everybody. Okay. I have to do this the old-fashioned way.